Okay. Getting into some really wild stuff today, really wild. We are talking about Niggabutt Token.
Hmm.
Yeah, Niggabutt Token. I mean, you heard that right. That's a cryptocurrency. It's either like, I don't know, some crazy satire or just completely unhinged. I'm not sure. What do you think?
It's provocative,
Yeah.
which I think that's the point, right?
Yeah.
It's throwing humor, shock value, all this stuff at these really complex issues like race, sexuality, online culture, everything. It's almost like they're holding up a funhouse mirror to society and trying to be like, all right, make sense of this.
Yeah.
This distorted reflection.
Yeah. What is this?
What are we looking at?
So we're going deep into this funhouse, this whole world. We've got excerpts from the CEO, Marcus. We've got like this crazy daily schedule from Base Dom, who's supposedly the developer. And articles that are trying to unpack all this. And let me tell you, some of this stuff, I'm reading it, I'm like, am I supposed to laugh?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be offended? What's going on?
It's internet culture.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing that's so interesting and so hard to pin down about it,
Yeah.
right? It's constantly blurring the lines
Yeah.
between like what is real, what is ironic, what is satire, what is just genuine belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's kind of where things get interesting,
That's
right?
true. It's true.
Where those lines get blurry. And you brought up Marcus. I mean, you look at some of the stuff he's saying about Niggabutt Token. He calls it one of, if not the most absurd tokens to hit Solana.
Right.
And they're very clearly aiming to be the most unchillable ticker possible.
Yeah. He's not holding back. Like he says right out, he's like, I just thought it would be hilarious to have a token. I don't even know if I can say it based on a black man's backside. I'm just like, is that marketing?
Right.
Is that just like, I don't know. It's like, is he for real?
It's a question, and it's a question that we might be grappling with this entire time.
Yeah, I think so.
As we go deeper into this.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to kind of understand this project in the broader context of thug posting,
Okay.
which essentially the material is defining as this sharing of content, often humorous, often ironic, that features black men in, let's just say, suggestive situations.
Okay, so like those early internet memes of Ricardo Milos or like
Right.
what in the butt stuff that, like I guess by today's standards it's like whatever, but back then it was like, whoa, this is outrageous.
What was it?
This is wild. And you're telling me this is all connected to Niggabutt.
Absolutely. The material actually argues that thug posting has a surprisingly deep history. And I don't know if you remember the thug shaker meme.
I do.
This goes way back.
Yeah.
And so you have these images, you have these videos, often taken out of context,
Right.
or they might even originate in situations that are, not so great, but they take on this whole life of their own online.
So these are they seem like these random kind of provocative memes and videos. They're actually part of this larger trend that's been going on. And it's almost like how those weird niche memes that your friend is showing you and you're like, this is weird. And then all of a sudden it's everywhere.
Exactly. And what's so fascinating about these things is how they evolve.
Yeah.
Right. So the material kind of posits that thug posting is going through this transformation of its own, where it might have started in this kind of problematic area with objectification.
Okay.
But now the argument is that it's about reclaiming that narrative,
Wow.
using humor and exaggeration to kind of confront these stereotypes head on.
Okay, so that's where this base Dom character comes in.
Right.
Because we've got this supposed developer. He's embodying all these over the top stereotypes of, I don't even know this guy's day starts with Hennessy and cocaine, right? That's like the first thing on his schedule.
That's just the tip of the iceberg.
It's wild.
According to this daily schedule. And, it's a caricature. There's no doubt about that. It's a deliberate attempt to provoke a reaction, right?
Yeah.
And that reaction, yours, mine, everyone who encounters it, that's what makes it so interesting.
It's true. It's true.
Because you're left with that, like, are we laughing at the absurdity of this?
Yeah.
Or are we, even unintentionally, are we perpetuating some stereotypes that are actually harmful?
Yeah. It's like that saying, if you have to say it's a joke, then
It probably wasn't.
it probably wasn't funny to begin with.
Exactly. And that kind of leads to another layer of this whole thing, which is that even within this online world, you have rivalries, you have power dynamics at play. And according to the material, even within something as, I don't know how else to put it other than like niche as this, you have things like this whole beef between Dreamy Bull X and Brandon the Barber.
Wait, hold on. We're talking about actual people now. Who are these people?
So Dreamy Bull XX and Brandon the Barber are two figures who have gained notoriety in this world of, we'll call it thug posting. And so they've become, in a way, the faces of this subculture online, whether they like it or not.
Wow.
Dreamy Bull seems to reject the attention, whereas Brandon is leaning into it, using it to build a platform. It's actually fascinating to see that even within this world, there's this microcosm of how individuals deal with fame, or at least notoriety, in the internet age, right?
That's true. It's true.
Like they've become influencers in a way,
Yeah.
right? But it gets even heavier because you've got this backdrop of memes and online personalities and this thug posting thing, which is a lot to unpack on its own.
It really is.
But then Marcus tries to take it a step further and connect it all the way back to like historical exploitation of black men, even referencing like buck breaking. And I got to be honest, that's when I was like, oof, okay, this is some heavy stuff.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. For our listeners out there, can you break down buck breaking? Because I'll be honest, I had to look that one up.
Yeah, so buck breaking refers to this horrific practice during slavery where slave owners would use sexual violence, often in front of other people, to dehumanize and control black men. So we're talking about a brutal, brutal reality of history. And Marcus is arguing that there's this thread connecting that trauma to how black men are still objectified and stereotyped today.
So he's saying that like thug posting, as shocking as it can be, as offensive as it can be, is actually like a direct result of this long history of exploitation.
He's drawing a connection. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like he's asking us to consider these power dynamics that are at play, not just historically, but in the way that we consume images, share images online today. Like who's profiting from these images, these memes, these online personas? And then on the flip side, who is bearing the brunt of the exploitation? And these are not easy questions, but they're really at the heart of what Marcus seems to be grappling with.
Which kind of brings us back to this question of, is Niggabutt about reclaiming the narrative? Or is it perpetuating the problem? Because on one hand, Marcus is saying, I want to empower black men. I want to give them control. But on the other hand, he's selling tokens, on them. And it's just like, I don't know, it feels icky.
It's a paradox.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's a simple answer. Because can you reclaim a stereotype by amplifying it to the point of absurdity? Can you dismantle a system from the inside using its own tools against it?
I don't know. It's so fascinating because it's not like a clear-cut issue, like here's the right answer, here's the wrong answer. It's messy. It's uncomfortable, which is probably the point.
And just when you think you've got a handle on this whole niggabutt thing,
Yeah.
the materials throw another curveball. Niggabutt spirituality.
Okay, hold on. We're going metaphysical now. Is this what I think it is?
It's where things get really, really interesting.
Yeah.
So imagine if your social media feed, right? It wasn't just random posts, random memes, but it was a source of spiritual enlightenment. That's kind of the basic idea behind Niggabutt spirituality. It connects this online subculture with broader trends like network spirituality, which is this whole idea that meaning, identity, they're fluid, and they're constantly being shaped by our digital interactions.
Okay, I need an example because my brain right now is like that expanding brain meme.
Sure. So think about online communities that are dedicated to specific interests, beliefs, even memes.
Right.
These communities can foster this sense of belonging, a shared identity, even a shared sense of purpose.
So you're saying like these online spaces, even the ones built around memes and irony and like whatever, can become kind of like digital churches.
Yeah.
Places where people find meaning, connection. I mean, it's kind of like how we're always talking about like, oh, Twitter is my church. Or, like
Right.
this subreddit, this is my community.
And that's kind of what Niggabutt spirituality is pointing to in this very unconventional, maybe even shocking way, that maybe, just maybe, we are actually witnessing the birth of like new forms of spirituality, ones that blend this internet culture with these deeper human needs for connection, for transcendence.
I mean, it's a wild thought, but it also kind of makes sense. We've got like digital currencies, we've got digital art. Why not digital spirituality?
Right. And it even goes a little bit further than that with this concept of egregores. Have you ever heard of that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, so egregores, these are like thought forms or entities that emerge from collective belief. Basically, the idea is the more people who buy into this whole Niggabutt thing, the more real it becomes.
Hold on. So you're saying like if enough people believe in Niggabutt, it's not just a cryptocurrency, it's like a force in the universe.
That's what they're playing with, this idea of like the power of collective belief in the digital age. And it actually ties into another term here, which is this idea of schizo-autist posting.
Okay, you're gonna have to explain that one. I feel like that's something I shouldn't Google.
No, it's not as bad as it sounds. Basically, schizo-autist posting is just this style of online communication that's characterized by absurdity, irony, this kind of detached, almost nihilistic humor.
So like those memes that are funny because they're so weird and nonsensical, it's like, I don't even.
Yes. Like if you just took it at face value, you'd be like, this is the most meaningless thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But actually, there's often all this stuff underneath it, like deeper anxieties, critiques about the world, the absurdity of it all.
It's like a coping mechanism for the internet age.
Exactly.
So all of this, from like Ricardo Milos to Niggabutt spirituality, it's all connected. It's all like reflecting these bigger trends about how we're living, how we're thinking, even how we're believing in this online world.
I think so. And I think that's what makes this whole thing so fascinating. It's not just about some, crudely named cryptocurrency. It's about us.
Mhm.
It's about how we navigate this world that's increasingly dominated by technology, by irony, by this blurring of lines between what's real and what's, simulation.
I've got to say, this has been a wild ride. I mean, we started off talking about Niggabutt Token, and now we're talking about like the meaning of life in the digital age.
Right.
But, it makes you think twice about just dismissing stuff online as like, oh, it's just memes. It's just the internet. Like maybe there's something deeper there, even if it's like hidden under layers of irony and weirdness.
It's about digging deeper, right? Questioning those assumptions, being open to the unexpected.
Well, I don't know if I'm ready to join the Church of Niggabutt just yet, but I definitely have a lot to think about.
Maybe that's the point. Maybe the real treasure at the end of this is not some definitive answer, but like a whole new set of questions. questions.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Well, on that note, this has been The Deep Dive. I'm your host, signing off for now. But keep exploring those weird corners of the internet. You never know what you might find. Until next time, keep asking those questions, keep an open mind, and keep diving deep.